So what was the actual conversation after that point? Like the first conversation?
I think the next conversation would have been the next day. I couldn't even tell you what we said. I honestly couldn't. It's a blur. There's about 3 months. It's a blur. I think I tried to make it work. I remember catching up with one of my good long-term high school friends, and she'd recently been going through a separation and a divorce, and we were all out to Chelsea. You know that area where you've got the flying fox thingy? The kids go up and down?
Yeah.
So I tell them then, because they're like, what's going on? You've been quiet, da-da-da. Yeah, this happened. And I had to obviously, because we were around kids, 3 kids, had to, silent code. And it was overcast. That's what I remember really vividly. It's like all of a sudden they just went dead silent and the world went still. I can see my kids going up and down on this fucking swing. And it was like everything went into slow motion. By the point that I'd seen their reaction and really felt the gamut of what they were feeling for me and the silence, I went, yeah, I don't feel right. Like this, I can see, you can see the impact that it's had on me. And so by this point, I'm still trying to navigate, sticking around, not for the kids, but just trying to see if it's just a one-off, and if I can push past this. And then I said, I need space. Actually, that was after. So I'm just going to say it for what it is straight out, right? We had sex. And he did this whole, I'm never letting you go thing. And that point, I just went, I don't feel right. Something in me said, that felt like the way it sounded to me and the way I experienced it was, this is you trying to get ultimate control. You'd already had bits of control throughout the narrative. And now you've got this fucking full control. And that's when I went, and this was around his birthday too, so I made a big deal over his birthday for the kids because that's what I do. And I hated doing it in this, I'm brave the face. Let's post fucking photos somewhere on my Facebook. Don't give a fuck. I don't even want to look at them. Because I did it for him and the kids, not for me, for him. So that happens. A few days after, I turn around and we're still sharing a bed by this stage. Yeah. And I go, I'm not feeling this anymore. I don't think I can do this anymore. I go, I think I need some space. No point was he like, I'll go to my mum's or I'll do this, or throw any suggestions. I'm starting to try to throw suggestions. I'm starting to get support from Good Shepherd. So I reached out. One of Mum's very close friends who was an old neighbour of ours, she worked for Ed Voss or something, so she had contacts and she's like, just XYZ. So
you've already gone to like your parents?
No, I hadn't moved yet.
No, I mean, you told them what's going on?
Yeah, they were mortified.
Yeah.
Dad still can't look at him properly. And any time he's dropping off the kids or there's an interaction, he'll do whatever he possibly can to not interact. He's not fucking interested. Because he knows it's met with fake pretense fucking bullshit. It's not genuine. So here's me going, I need space, da-da-da, not sure how I'm feeling, etc. Whole fucking year that passes. Still in the house because I know, through Good Shepherd, if I leave the house without the kids, I've got a very good chance of losing the kids. Now, people say to me, hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it? You should have just called the fucking cops. It's like, well, I had no idea by this point that he was capable of doing this. If I had called the cops, I don't know what situation I would have put me and my kids in. So I stayed and I sucked it up. And I felt physically unsafe for a year and 3 months.
What were your interactions like for that year?
Oh, it was tough. It was tough because there was no physical. He'd try it on with me, and I'd just be like, no, dude, just fucking don't touch me.
What about like the yelling matches and all that?
That started getting a lot more quieter.
Yeah.
I completely lost my voice by this point. And that's where Mum was really great at pushing me through this, and she could see that I was still at that point, and I had very close friends who were supporting me through this who are like second mums to me. I couldn't. One's 46, one's 56, old enough to be my parents or aunts, right? And they were like, we will respect whatever decision you want to take, but this is the way we see it, And this is, and I told them everything. I told them about the water. I told them, look, I'm not going to hide the things I did, because I'm only telling you part of the story I want you to hear. No, I'm going to fucking tell you the whole gamut. I don't care. This is me. Like it or lump it, this is who I am. This is what happened. Because I don't want to sugarcoat shit. I'm not going to. So one of those friends, she'd been through two, really bad physical relationships and stuff, and I was looking at her going, fuck. Do I want to go through the long haul and hope for the best, knowing that the best could end up being, a rollover effect of continued abuse, because once it starts, it doesn't stop. And if my mum's in my head going, once it starts, and you allow and you accept that behaviour, there is a very good chance it's going to be
that's the new
behaviour.
Benchmark of where we're at. Yeah,
correct, exactly. Yeah. So, it was silence. And any time I was trying to move the narrative in a different sort of situation, he was kind of trying to get help, but in his own weird, stupid way, to be like a mate talking to him about stuff and, go and do this X, Y, and Z. Or he'd go to see his counsellor, but then when the counsellor psychologist told him what he didn't want to hear, and I actually went to one of these sessions with him, and the counsellor's like, there's nothing wrong with giving her space. He didn't like what he heard. If I could stop seeing that particular psychologist, right? Yeah. And I'm like, you're a dumb fuck, mate. You had the opportunity right here. This guy's saying to you, you don't necessarily have to lose her. I can see that you adore the fuck out of this woman and you want to keep her, but you've actually got to listen to what she has to say and how this situation's made her feel before she can logically make a decision around how she's going to manage pushing past this, because it's not just about you, it's about her. And, he has his own reasons about why he chose to stop seeing that particular cop, because he was a psychologist, but he was a cop in the past. So he'd said, me throwing that small glass of water at him, a few drops, whatever, would have been classified as, coercive control or abuse. He goes, I don't like the fact that he used that against you, da-da-da. So that was him trying to excuse the reason why he no longer wanted to do this work with this particular counsellor.
Were you already doing counselling and stuff at this point?
Yes, ongoing.
Yeah.
And that was just epiphany after epiphany. Fuck, it was exhausting, because I was going from working to then starting to make my own decisions around my life, going, I can't stay at, to then be able to safely move, because it was starting making some forward plans with Good Shepherd around how to safely exit the house and what I was going to do about it. And the person that I was at the time was all about, how am I going to do this without creating less impact on my kids, on my parents? I know. Yeah. On my workplace, which they still deeply appreciate and respect about me. They go, you are what? We're 1 in a fucking billion, not million, fucking billion. You are, you are so special beyond whatever capacity we can even explain to you you're special, because we have people, teacher shortage, right? Dropping a bat of a hat. They go, this is too hard for me. I'm going to do what's best for me. I'm fucking off. They don't think about the implications. And here's me now picking up the pieces of their fucking decisions, because we're left without accounting teachers, with kids without, people for 4 fucking weeks. And I'm working more hours, at least till next week. Thank God. But, here's me always fucking thinking about everyone else. And, the counsellor said to me, you actually need to start self-investing. And you need to realise at what point is that going to be the penultimate point where you're going to go, well, fuck this. I cannot keep doing this for everyone anymore. So once I managed to safely exit the home, take the kids with me, get a bit of a plan going, I didn't even talk about leaving, and then I just made that decision basically by myself. And that was, I'm never going to admit that to him, but that was a ways and means of me getting closer to my parents, because like a 15, 17-minute drive away, it was fucking 40 minutes. So the commute gave me that excuse, and then I started to, I said to his mum, look, can you take a day a week? Because all of a sudden I'm fucking changing my timetable from 3 flat days to working across 5 days. So 4 days across 5. And I had Monday mornings off, I think it was, or something, and then Thursday afternoons. And I used that Thursday afternoon for counselling every fucking Thursday. So he knew that Sunday to Monday we'd stay at mum's house, because I needed mum to care for the kids. I couldn't get an extra childcare day. It was too late by the time I got that job in December of 2022, I think. 2021. So he knew I had to start pulling everyone, and his mum wanted me to do the best for my career, and she knew it was a good choice. So she supported me by taking the Wednesdays.
What did the exit from the house look like?
Originally it was supposed to be he was going to go away for a trip with something or do something. I can't even remember what it was now. Supposed to go away and do something, and I was just going to take the kids and leave.
Without telling him?
Yep.
So what did you plan, like, in the lead up to that?
I was a nervous wreck. I was terrible, because I'm like, what if X, Y, and Z happens? What if he doesn't go? What if he loses his fucking shit and comes, I started learning what all the laws and regulations were, right? Where am I within my rights? Where can this go wrong? If he doesn't know where I am, then it's classified as whatever, and then if he knows where I am, then it's really a non-issue. Luckily enough, I was getting so physically sick that he could see it. He could finally see that me, at some points throughout that sort of last 6 months before I'd actually left to go to mum's, he could see that I was completely withdrawn, got to points where he's sleeping on the couch, I'm sleeping in bed. Only did we ever come together if the kids ended up in the bed with all four of us, and because they were sick, they'd usually pull us all together. And that was like, my body felt like a brick. Every time I'd go into bed, I was like, I need this sleep. Fibro feeds off lack of sleep, so I need sleep, right? So part of my whole body and my whole physical aptitude and my emotions, I had to learn to switch off, completely switch off, so that this brick element of this pain I was feeling would dissipate. And I became really good at just fucking doing it so I could just survive. But he could just see that the headache started back again. I'd had, back in 2010, a really bad bout of like a migraines and, bedridden me. That was pre-diagnosis. The elements of issues starting to come through in my physical health. And that started coming back again. I'm getting fucking copious migraines, can't function, still working, but just I don't know how it's functioning. He could see it. And at no point at all, and in any stage throughout that whole year, was he like, I made suggestions. I was like, you go to your mum's. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to be able to heal there, he said. Yeah. He had other options, didn't want to take them because obviously that's going to be a financial burden. So it turns out that he still had to deal with financial burdens anyway, because I left him in that house. And I left, took the kids with me, and that was then just an agreement. So I was really lucky because even my workplace knew about the situation. I had to take domestic violence leave for fucking 2 weeks, and the approval process and the steps I had to do to get that and any support I need, mate, it's a slow road. It's a really, really slow road to get that support, and you have to stick it out, because at any point you can give up and just go, oh, fuck, this takes too long. I'm not going to get that either financial support I need or emotional support I need or the right services to blend in from what you need at that time. Because I have people coming to see me once a week on a Monday from a parenting point of view, and they're like, what the fuck are we doing here? They're coming week after week going, you're a fucking amazing parent. You are thinking about every action, reaction, impact of his behaviour that he's making at any given point. And I mean, they have documents of all this stuff week in, week out. I couldn't even tell you now all the finer details. I know they have it. I don't think I ever want to look at it again. I don't need it. I know what I lived. I don't need to see it again for the second time. But, and bring up those recurring bullshit memories, I don't need that. All I need to know now is, moving forward, I don't need my kids to be in that environment now. So, yeah, sticking it out, it was terrible. But he just eventually realised, he's like, she's physically sick with being around me. This is not working, and we need to do something about it. So I take whatever stuff I can, and we do this usual routine of me going to bed on the Monday morning. But instead of me bringing the kids back, we negotiate and go, okay, I'm going to have them till this time, you're going to have them till this time. And then we create this kind of...
So was your exit then like... He was aware of your exit?
Yep.
Okay, so it wasn't like you having to escape the situation?
It got close, but then I think the writing was on the wall and eventually he couldn't ignore it.
Okay, so eventually he saw the reason and
yep.
He sort of said it before you did?
Yep.
Okay, well that's good.
Yep. Took a whole year and 3 months to get there.
Yeah.
Because he could see from that moment that I'd just changed. Something in me had changed. And I think that evolution of my new self, this revised self.
2.0.
That has, 2.0. Yeah, 2.0. Actually, he physically mentioned something to me the other day that someone said is when you're in your teens and your 20s, you're 1.0. When you're 20s and your 30s, you're 2.0. When you potentially go through marriage, you're 3.0. And then parts of that's divorce too if you don't make it. And then this other version becomes 4.0. So I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Purely for the fact of I'm not married.
No.
I don't have kids.
No.
But I know what my growth is.
Yes.
And I know what I've experienced.
Correct.
And in some ways, I've experienced more shit and more growth than people I know who are married with kids that act like fucking children.
Exactly.
So, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I agree too.
There are things that can happen in a person's life that may change your mentality, change your mindset, change your outlook, all that crap. Totally agree. Life experience is what builds that. But, like, I know people that have had kids that haven't changed their fucking mindset at all. They're still children themselves. It's like, how does the government even let you have kids, mate? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like using kids as the example.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's things that happen in a person's life that changes their mentality and outlook. I agree. Marriage and all that shit can do it. Doesn't necessarily mean it will.
And, you know, there's other layers of bullshit in there as well. Like, you know, he'd say shit about my parents to family members.
Ah.
Yeah, and then say he didn't say it, even though they would hear it, call it out, tell my parents about it. And it's like gaslighting.
Yeah, the propaganda.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it throughout all points, you know, when I'd call him up on his bullshit, it was always met with, oh, that didn't happen.
Did you just call him out on it to his face, or did you actually say it to others as well?
Both.
I was going to say, of all the accounts in my life where things were on borderline abuse, you know, not on my behalf, but being abused or shitty situations with people, I always went out of the way to protect people, even though I knew they didn't deserve to be protected. And it all changed when I just said, what am I doing? Like, fuck them. I was like, oh, you know, will you come? It's like, mate, this is years in the making. This isn't just me having a bad day, cunt. Like, listen to what I'm saying. This is how it is. And again, I think of these toxic people, and I think of the facade that they try and put on, where it all seems nice on the like surface. But I've had conversations with people where we're talking about specific individuals, and I'll be like, watch out on the news one day, because you're going to guarantee someone is going to pop up fucking dead, and they'll be knocking on my door or your door to see if we can find some sort of tree of existing behaviour from the past. It's legit. Like, you see it.
So even though we try and mask or hide those behaviours from the past, they always have a way of coming back.
100%.
And that's where he couldn't look within himself. He'll still tell you he doesn't remember what he said. Or he might say, I know I said something, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Well, I'm glad that you were able to get out of there without it boiling over any further. Like, that's for sure. Thank fuck.
Yep. And there's still layers of emotional manipulation throughout, you know, that whole journey, and then even past that journey, because for me, everything is centered around what's best for the kids. But for him, it's still around the dreams that he potentially wanted to still accomplish for us as a family, like moving close to the beach.
So let him do it for himself.
Yeah, so I'm happy for him to do it for himself, but he's not necessarily thinking about how that jades the kid's experience. I have no choice around that now. I know the law is not going to favour me. I cannot control, manipulate. I do not want to do that. But I like to think that as a co-parent, you're going to make some good choices around your kid's experience. Right now, they're 5.5. They don't have soccer practice. They don't have fucking karate or whatever it is they're going to want to do. Once that element starts...
I had a mate who I asked if he wanted to come to the footy on a Sunday or something with his son. We had never gone to the footy together with his son. His son's older now. And he said, nah, can't do it. His mum now lives in, like, on the other side of the state. Like, what? It's like, yeah. He goes, every other weekend or whatever, he's down there from Friday to, like, Sunday night, etc. You know, or the reverse or wherever. I think he's going to school. No, is he going to school here? He's going to school here. So he's down there, like, every other day. And I'm like, why the fuck did she move to, you know, another town a couple of hours away? You tell me, man.
Yeah.
She got married and moved there.
Yeah.
Like, but his sister's down here.
Yeah.
Some people don't give a fuck.
No, they don't. And they never will. You can't change somebody who won't change for themselves.
Yeah. It sucks that the law's around like that, where you can't actually say anything about it. You just have to count on people making the right decisions.
And if I had known, for example, that I was agreeing to almost half-half, so I have the kids about 58% of the time, he hasn't the rest, from the beginning, without legal documentation, without signing anything, if I had known that if I was, say, in the proceedings now of going into court, or not really court, we're not going to court, fuck that shit. I know if I go to court, I'm not going to really gain anything except lost money and emotions being fucking thrown out, you know, into the ring for everybody else to judge. No thanks. And I know he doesn't necessarily want that either, mostly because of his parents. His mum and dad turned around and said, I think it would be wise not to send this to court because you're going to end up spending your kids' education, right? This is where you can start to see bits of manipulation and control where he's learnt this behaviour.
Money's money, you'll find it.
True, exactly. But that control, that underlying control. He has learnt this behaviour from them. There is elements, I'm not going to go into it today, but there's elements of his past and the reason why his parents and their families, particularly on his mum's side, don't talk. They didn't talk to them for a number of years. They isolated them. It's because his mum was busy trying to be a mum and a sister at the same time. I know about that, but I learnt from that. She continued to still, that bring on those patterns and behaviours, even when all of her brothers and sisters were adults. So what happened? They resented her, they fucked her off, and it's gone like that. That cycle has continued all through her life. So she went from them all basically stopping inviting her for Christmas and birthdays and all this sort of stuff. Then, when Nonna gets sick and she starts looking after her again, goes from every fortnight when I started dating to every week she's there. Then they start to kind of reintroduce her back in. I think that's why the whole Christmas thing happened, because whilst it's good, we're going to continue this facade, at our house, da-da-da. And now her sister, who's just gone through cancer, has gone, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you. There's a reason for that. I don't know her side of the story. I only know yours. And I obviously was naive and stupid enough to only look at your perspective, not necessarily thinking about the experience that other person's having. I can now see it because it's emulated through your son, probably through your daughter as well. Both selfish, both fucking self-entitled and arrogant and bloody all the rest of it. I wish I'd seen then what I see now.
Do you reckon once you opened up to people about what was going on, the help and all that fell into place? Like, was it easy to get a hold of? I mean, you said the process was a rigmarole to get the support, like the domestic violence leave and all that sort of shit. But what about mentally, like just the load?
Mental load was huge because I'm still trying to be the best mum I can be. My work, the actual quality of my work, because I didn't want to throw myself into what was going on with and I didn't have to worry about that all of a sudden anymore over the course of the last year and a bit. People are like, you've done your best work we've ever seen in you. I mean, I obviously knew school, but there's other people who've seen me from the past, from my last 10 years of teaching, going, oh my God, you're fucking kicking goals here. Because I threw myself into that. I threw my best parts into being the mum, being whatever I could do at work, and then also on top of that, trying to reflect and to heal.
I'm saying, like, once you sort of told people, right? Like, once you told the girls, once you told your parents, once you told your work and all that sort of stuff, and then obviously things are starting to get put into place for you to get the fuck out of there. Did you notice changes in yourself?
Not straight away.
No.
Not straight away. I can't tell you at what point I started to see full changes. Or maybe I can. It was just probably a little bit more delayed because I'm still trying to process everything. But probably the point where people started reaching out to me, reconnecting, because they'd noticed things on my social media platforms. Something's different. She's not posting photos of me anymore. Anniversary bullshit things, and she's not celebrating all the other aspects of her life. It's just all about the kids. Once those people started reaching out, I started going, okay, like, I need to work on myself now.
Yeah.
And I have family who go, don't work on yourself, you've got to do everything else. Self-care doesn't exist.
No, not for wogs. You're nuts.
For wogs, yeah.
Self-care.
What the fuck's that?
Do you know what self-care is? It's a pack of darts.
Yeah.
It's just literally...
So now, I think my mum must be thinking I'm in this fucking weird abyss at the moment, but, when I'm in that shitty headspace and the kids are around, I still want to enjoy them when they're there, because they're in there for 58% of my fucking time that I have them. But if they're doing my head in, and I need to switch off from them, I'll chuck my headphones in and listen to this, whatever's going to make me feel good and put me in a good position.
How are your kids, like, in regards to, mum and dad being separated and all that sort of stuff? I don't think they
fully understand it, but they know that there's mum's house, Nunna's house, and they know that now there's, like, this last week in itself has been a big shift. And have I seen changes in their behaviour because they're pushing boundaries? Fuck yes. They're kids. It wouldn't matter if we were separated or together. They wouldn't still push my boundaries anyway. We had a full shit show on Wednesday when I was supposed to volunteer at the school for an hour, when both of them were screaming at me for wanting money for ice cream that they could have at school because, they want to fit in and they love ice cream. And I refused to give in. the whole way to school. Usually I carry their bags for them because they're little and their bags are fucking massive. Chuck your fucking shoes on, kids. You're doing it yourself today. Take your bag. We are walking. No screaming. No carrying on. I'm not yelling at them. Doing my best to hold my shit together. Because usually I could fly off the handle if I really wanted to. But what's the point?
You.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm repressing because I'm learning. That's not the behaviour I want my kids to see.
Yeah.
Do I reach that penultimate level where they do push me past sometimes? Yes. Am I not proud of it? Fucking 100%. Do I reflect? Do I work at changing? Yes. All the time. Because we all have,
We're human, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I cannot be this perfect parent all the time. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. How did you explain it? Like, how did you explain the split? I mean, they're young, but at the same time, they had to have had something said to them.
What I said to him is we need to be able to communicate something to them. And he never really wanted to have that conversation with them. So it kind of gets drip fed in layers so that they get an understanding of where things are at and where their safe spaces are. So that was the priority for me, safe spaces. Where is their safe space? Was their home? Very perceptive from the beginning, from pretty much when the incident had happened all the way through. Anytime someone would come into the house or I'd be on the phone, mate, that kid's like right here like a fucking dog, loyal as anything. And he wants to know if anybody's taking my time away from him, he wants to know what's going on. He wants to be the part of the narratives, the old soul. It's like, it doesn't matter, mum's busy, I'll go play with Nana and I'll do my arts and craft and all my fucking bullshit. She doesn't care, she switches off. Right in it, he wants to know. So he asks the deep questions. And he seeks knowledge in parts where there's gaps. And I didn't think his sister was paying attention. Initially, Dora quickly caught on that she was. And eventually, it started coming out and presenting in different ways. But I was doing all that groundwork. And now I can have deeper conversations around why things the way they are. But could I have one big, 5-minute conversation at their level? Not really. My kids are still babies in a way.
They're young.
They are young.
You can't push too much on them.
No.
They will expect.
Sometimes we'll say, "Oh, mum, I'm going," because he's talking about, he knows that been moving out the other weekend, and I'm going to miss that house. And that's the last of his memories that he knows of us four being together in the same house. And I said, "That's okay, mate. I understand." I said, "Because that's a part of our history." And I said, everything that makes up to the point that we are is part of our shared history. So even things like wedding photos and, baby photos and photos of all of us where we appeared to be happy. What are you going to do with them? Burn them? I'm like, fuck no. That is the kids' history and that is our history. I am not taking that experience away from them because there are some good parts that they can see, that they can create in their own life, obviously, hopefully not in the same way, but good parts that they can have, that can take with them and go, that was a happy time.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Like, the house that I grew up in the house in Clayton, that got sold in 2017. And, I got a picture of it tattooed on my arm as part of my sleeve. And I got that done in, I don't know, 2 years ago. I don't know when it was.
Yep.
But I remember saying it to my sister that I was including it on my sleeve, and she's like, "Why the fuck would you do that? There's so many there's just nothing but negative memories, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, no, I had some happy memories there. Like, that's where I learned how to make all my music. That's where I had so many, friends and stuff over, non-stop. There was shit times, but I've got so many good memories about Bond Street, Clayton. Like, I grew up there, All my friends used to come through there. I know the house. And, I haven't gone back since it got sold. She sent me a message the other day and she said, "Oh, I drove through the street. It's been fenced around. I think it's been gutted. They're probably going to knock it down." And I got sad for about half a second. And I'm like, yeah, but I would gut it and knock it down if I still owned it because the house was dilapidated by that point.
Yeah.
The property is 600 something square meters. Do you know what I mean? You could build 2 fucking townhouses, retire. I've been doing that. I didn't even think about it again because my new memories now are at my mum's house.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? Her unit now is where I know my mum, and I've got happy memories there now too. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
So I still take what I had. Don't forget it, but you can't tie yourself to shit like that anymore.
No.
You can't. I used to get, and when you sort of grow up with not much, and you overvalue things, but you fucking value everything you have, You build these sentimental attachments to things, objects, places, you know.
I see it in my parents because they had nothing. They came with barely anything.
Children of the Depression.
Yes.
Like, you know, they come here with nothing, so then it's like we have to value every fucking little piece of toilet paper we have.
Yes.
Then you build these unnatural relationships with shit that should just be expendable.
Yep.
And I'm noticing it now with my car. Like, I worked my ass off to get that car, and I've had it for 7 years. It's done over 220,000 Ks now. It's on its last legs, but it's costing me now money to run. And I'm like, well, could I get rid of it? And I'm like, well, if I refinance at some point, why can't I just get rid of it? It's just a fucking car. I enjoyed the fuck out of it, that it's been fresh. It's just a car, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like anything.
But you know what's funny? Coming here, I knew you wouldn't have a brand new car. I knew when I saw you today, there was no way you could have a new car out there. I just knew.
Thanks, man. I'm the same bum that you knew 10 years ago.
That's fine. Well,
thank you. Fuck you, man. I've earned some money.
I'm not saying
I'm still broke.
But it's not about the money, is it?
I'm still broke, man.
It's not about the money. It's about the character.
No. Well, yeah. No, I agree.
Certain parts of the character don't change. You see it in me. You see it in my daughter now. You know?
Yeah, I can imagine.
When I'm talking
what kind
about
of little hellion you're raising.
When I'm talking about, you know, fighting for these friggin' ice creams, you know, she's like, oh, I'm sad with you. And I said, sometimes, darling, it's okay to sit in the sad. I said, but it's important we learn how to get out of it. This full fucking thing going to school. They're crying in front of the lollipop man. Stuart's cotton socks. He's like, have you earned this money? Did you do anything to earn this money? And they're like, no. And they're still crying, crossing the road, dragging their bags to school. I get into school, still going, and they assume I'm staying, right? And I said, hey, if your teacher decides that you're creating too much of a ruckus, she's got a busy day to plan and she's fucking done all the work for this, that I'm going to be more of a distraction than a service, I'm out. I said to him, clear as the light of day, I said, this is what I have to do. Anyway, I ended up making the call. I go, Mr. Good morning. She's seen all the other kids are fucking confused. The whole day's out of work because I've got these two kids screaming. Then clutches. She's great at that. She clutches onto me and she's like, I need a cuddle. I need a cuddle right now. I'm like, no, mate. I'm picking up my stuff. I'm going. Then I start crying because it's just a wave of emotion.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she's telling this teacher's 23 years of age telling me to breathe. It's fucking ridiculous.
Breathe. I think I said that to you once. Calm down. Calm down! I still remember
really
that.
Is how well we know each other.
Yeah, it's
still.
funny.
Yes,
It's actually really funny.
It is funny. And I am a lot more calmer in some senses. I don't necessarily go as full.
Just the rage in the eyes, man. I'll never forget that. The crazy eyes.
Do you think it's still there?
It's like, you know what it's like? It's like Richie Aprile in The Sopranos.
Oh, my God,
Yeah?
yes.
Look at me with those Manson lamps. The Manson lamps. That's what you've got. The Richie Aprile stare in The Sopranos.
That is the
I
best
thought I was putting it back off Benji. I did. Then I put it in drive. That's you.
That is the best reference I've heard about myself in my whole entire life.
Yeah,
taking that to the grave.
In fight and that, yeah, Richie Aprile. That's who you are. Fuck me.
Fuck me. He heard that he'd laugh, actually, because he loves The Sopranos. I've watched every single fucking episode of that show,
Best show
start to
ever, man.
finish.
It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. I do love it. But yeah, I never
Look,
thought I was.
as far as your kids go, man, like, I was at a wedding and I'm sitting there and I'm just watching this kid who's opposite from me, maybe 4 or 5. 4 or 5, I wouldn't put it older than that. Maybe even older, maybe 5, 6, I don't know. And they were overreacting to like everything, right? So they've like fallen over, meltdown, like they've had their leg amputated, right? And so I'm trying like, I got, my initial response was like, fuck, like there's a kid that's hurt themselves. And I've sort of stood up and just seen them sitting there and they're like, not knowing what to rub first because, you know, nothing actually hurts. They're just screaming for the attention.
Yep.
Mum and dad have just jumped on them, you know. I'm like, okay, it's one of these kids. So I just sat down. And then throughout the evening, they just kept having these meltdowns over like absolute fucking nothing. And the parents are just shoving like a ice cream or something in front of them. Like, here's the iPad, here's the lollipop, here's the thing.
Yeah, can't be like that with kids.
And they're looking at it, stopping for about 10 seconds and just screaming again for like more attention. I'm like, motherfucker, like, are you serious? Like, I know the way we grew up isn't the right way, but at the same time,
You've got to find a balance.
fuck, man.
I'm going to spend my lifetime trying to find that balance. I can tell you that. So come to pick up the kids after school. It's due to have them, so from Wednesday after school to essentially 3 o'clock this afternoon, right? And I go in, and I always do this because it's like the handover. So they finish the day, you know, they're really pumped. They're going to their new house, you know, fuck, it's going to be a great day. You know, we're going to be close to the park and all this, you know. It looks like Disneyland down at the moment. That's fine.
Disneyland.
Because everything rubs off after a while, you know.
Yeah, the sheen does wear off eventually.
It does, yeah. Turns around at me, doesn't even say hello. And she says, I'm still sad with you. All right, mate. You won't be forever. I'll see you on Sunday. I'll do the standard kiss, hug, and all this shit out of them until they actually give it to me. And if they don't, I'll fucking go and give it to them anyway. Because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to leave this like this. Always leave it with a positive experience.
Yeah.
You know, really emphasise that I still love them, even though they drive me mental. And that's what I'm aiming for, is that they develop that resilience. Like, even the teacher called me during the day and she said, I told your kids that I'm calling you because I want them to know you were probably going to be worried. And she's like, they've been fine. They settled exactly as you left. I said, yeah, they used to do that to me at kinder. I know my kids. I know their behaviours. So I know when to walk away. She goes, most parents would band down, give them the money, get on with the day, volunteer. You know, I'm like, I'm not getting paid today, so I could spend that extra hour or two with you guys. Because that's what I wanted for this year, is actually having that time and helping you, you know, settle into your experience and contribute to that. I went, oh, well, tough shit. Went home, did some cleaning in the house, made the most of the day. You know, my dad's come in, guns blazing around something, and I go, Dad, and this is what I've learned about myself is throughout of all these experiences, I've learned to create boundaries. So he's having a go at something completely fucking stupid. I go, Dad, I've just dealt with this. Because Mum goes, what the fuck are you doing back so quickly? I go, Mum, don't even ask. I said, the kids were fucking, you saw what they were like just before you left. They got worse. Worse. So I said, just give me time. I'm going upstairs, doing my own fucking shit. Leave me alone. I'll come back when I'm ready. And I never used to be able to do that with my parents. My dad would he'd yell, I'd yell back. And I think part of the relationship issues I have with him is because I didn't know better with the relationship I had with my father. So he'd yell, I'd yell back. Whereas my mum was like, well, why don't you just shut up? To realise he can keep giving you, but if he's not getting anything back, he'll stop. But then there's parts of issues that are wrong with that too. Because if I don't get to have my voice and I don't get to be heard and deserve to feel heard, well, fuck you. Yeah, and so hence I used to bite back. Now we have a different relationship. Yes, we can have conflict, but mate, I can talk to them both like we're all on the same level. It's not child versus, you know. Yeah,
I spent a lot of time in the last couple of years teaching my parents that I'm an adult. Yeah. And I have adult fucking issues that supersede any of the piddly crap that they may have dealt with in the last 10 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Especially with my mum. I've had that convo with her before. She was complaining like about money or something. I'm like, Ma, I go, your house is fucking paid off. Everything's new. Nothing's going to break down in the next 5 years. Just stop. I go, stop bitching about the past. Stop bitching about the present. Fucking enjoy. Like, what more do you want? Things aren't perfect. Things are never going to be perfect. Let it go. It is what it is.
Yep.
Do you know, what was I going to say, do you have any fears in regards to what your ex is doing with your kids in the time that you're not around?
I know there's enough eyes watching over what he's doing.
Really?
I reckon. Even though he's never told them, he claims he's told his father the full gamut of what's happened. He claims that his father knows the full effect of the story. I don't believe shit.
Yeah.
He's chosen to create the story that he wants everybody else to believe.
He weaved a narrative that shows him in enough of a negative light that people will believe.
Correct.
While leaving out key details that make it look like it's either amicable or it's in the balance of you. Yeah, I get it.
And at the best part, it is amicable in terms of most of the decisions that we have to make centred around the kids. But initially, yes, I did have a lot of doubts around, was he going to get physical with them? Because he wasn't going to be able to manage the stress and, you know, those situations where kids aren't necessarily doing X, Y, and Z. Do you want, is that going to, you know, rile him up to the point that, you know, he's going to explode again? Yeah. I know he's done a lot of self-work. Do I like the way he's done it? No. Is it making some form of difference? I suppose so. I have to trust that he is making right decisions now.
You'll know pretty quickly.
Yeah, like, you know, he just knows how to make things look good in his head and for others, to the point where he goes, I know the person I was in with that relationship and I'm not that person anymore. And I'm like, dude, no, you don't see what I see now. And what other people who know you very well and have been part of this 14 or 13-year story know about you. And they still see elements of that old you that you haven't pushed past yet. We all have a capacity to change, not to the full extent that we'd probably like if we went to meet somebody tomorrow, went on a coffee date and goes, oh, yeah, I could work on you. No, work within your fucking self, you know? And I don't see it for the full extent that he's selling. But I know my kids are feeling safe. They love their father. They think he's a great hands-on dad. He's good at creating experiences for them. When my fibro is really bad, they have to sit at home sometimes and we just have to have home days. And he hated that. He always wanted to be out and about. So he creates those experiences for them. So as long as I hear of good things, and I know deep down my kids will tell me in some way, shape or form if something's wrong. It's in something they'll say, something they'll do, or something I'll be able to see on their body. I'm a teacher. At the end of the day, that's my job. I have to be able to pick those things out, and I see them regularly, more and more every day within kids, especially the quiet ones.
Outside of, like, say, I mean, obviously you have your kids now, right? That you said before that, like, you know, you don't regret because you have two amazing kids, yada, yada, yada. Do you wish you had said something about, done something about any of this going back?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah?
I wish I'd said, you need help, and I'm going to get you that help.
Yeah.
Or that, why do I have to fucking do everything? I'm listening to that going, why do I have to do everything? That you can see it within yourself that you need to get help.
If you have any advice, anyone in the same situation, I mean, when you came to, like, I mean, you approached me, when was it? A couple of months ago?
Back in January.
Was it January?
Yeah.
Yeah, you approached me and just said a few words, and I was pretty blunt with you and just said, look, man, to be fair.
And I expected that response.
I said, look, yeah, you've had fuck all to do with me for over a decade. Look, thanks, but what do you want me to say? I wasn't being a cunt. I was just being real, I guess, because it's like, I don't know, I haven't been part of your narrative for a decade.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, but okay, what changes?
Yeah.
Right? And you explained, like, in 50 words or less, which is, okay, I said, okay, I understand. And then I sent you the podcast of Sophia that'd been in here. What'd you get out of that, listening to that? Because that was another situation.
Yes.
And I think hers was, I'm not going to say worse or better.
No.
It was just as extreme, but in different ways. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. Because I re-listened to it the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, what was my initial motivations? And have those motivations since changed? And I loved the fact that she wanted to talk about awareness, for one. And I'm not diminishing what she said by any means or anything like that, but I think we need to do more than just awareness. So I have had people reach out to me, and around that same period when I reached out to you, who've come back into my life, who have been through domestic violence relationships, and I'm talking the man experiencing that violence from the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a podcast with a guy like that. I don't know if I sent you the link, though.
No, you didn't.
All right, maybe I'll send it to you next.
And I went, well, COVID's happened, and we're now dealing with this just fucking intense, massive ripple effect of bullshit. And don't get me wrong, this was there before that. It's just amplified.
You know what's interesting now that I'm mentioning it? Now that I remember, I'm realizing I didn't send you the episode I'd done with the man who was a victim of domestic violence. All right, just slipped my mind. I'm just realizing something because I'd done the one with Sophia first, right? And I got a massive response, like a really big response after that.
That's amazing.
A lot of people messaging me saying, dude, like, who the fuck? What? Wow, like all this sort of stuff, right? I did the one with the dude and I got a response out of it, but there were still women that said that I was either too favorable or just seemed too biased or whatever. And I'm just like, hang on, man. Out of the two of the people that came in, one I didn't know at all, one I actually worked with side by side and saw the ripple effects of the relationship. What do you mean too biased? This is the fact.
That's right.
This is what the court...
Correct. Legally, we're only concerned around facts.
Yeah, I'm like, hang on, man. Outside of the personal relationship that I had with the bloke where I saw the immediate effects of all this and, like, had to, like, counsel the bloke for, like, 2 years or whatever it was, the court's, like, he explains the shit show that he had to go through and then finally the outcome. Like, he basically got leveled to zero before anything happened.
Yep.
How can you still be like, oh, it just seemed too biased? Like, what did you want me to do? Paint a positive narrative of an abuser?
Yeah, that's right.
Because they're a woman? It makes no sense. Like, and I'm just realizing, man, I didn't even think to send you the one with the dude.
I would have loved to hear it.
Yeah, no, I'll send it to you. But it's...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm angry at myself now.
Yeah, yeah.
fuck me.
And that's hard to digest, isn't it?
It is, because I brought him in. Well, I knew the story, and I'm like, hang on, man, I've just done one with a victim. Let's bring in a man that's been in the same situation. And both of, like, the similar thing with both women, like you said, you reached out to the Good Shepherd, right?
Mm.
Sophia reached out to a few people as well, and there was movement around it. He reached out to a number of people and got nothing. Kept getting dragged to cops with fake allegations. What do you mean?
So you're telling me just because you have a penis, you get treated differently?
100%.
And this is where, so I used to have similar views around certain things to do with men versus women. And I would always advocate for the man just as much as the female in the right scenario, in the right context. That's fine. But all of a sudden now, because he's being painted differently, it's like, oh, no, I don't fit into that category. Like, to the point where he used to say to me, you're not going to call the cops over this, are you? Like, seriously, do you know how this is going to affect my life?
But you swung.
Yeah. So it just goes to show the extent of the person.
I was raised in a house of domestic violence, like many other fucking Greek in Melbourne, right? I've seen it. I've seen it amongst friends. I know a bloke who was in a relationship with, he was in a relationship with a woman, a couple that I knew. Once I found out that he was abusive for like long periods, I haven't been able to look at him the same way. I've seen him maybe once or twice, and I haven't wanted to shake his hand.
Yep.
Like, I haven't been alone with him to pull him up on anything.
So that's like my dad with...
Right?
Just...
It's like, nah, man.
Yeah.
Because like with me, I've had shit fights, I've done some deplorable shit, but I've never physically hit any woman over anything, period. To the point where I've had it falsely put on me, and as soon as I saw someone taking those steps to create that narrative, I'm like, nah, man, I'm out. Like, fuck this.
Yeah. And especially when they do say, oh, it wasn't that bad, it's diminishing the experience. And that's soul crushing.
Yeah, 100%.
You can't tell me how I'm feeling. So that's where it's that, we've talked about the financial, the emotional. To me, above everything, I reckon the emotional is far worse than the even physical. Even though now I know my love language, I can believe in those things, and that I do like physical touch, and physical touch is important to me in the way that I receive it and give it. I always thought my love language was acts of service in terms of what I would give, because I am always doing everything for everybody. That's what I do. For my kids, for him, that's what I did. So I thought that was mine, and to receive that back was nice. It wasn't it. From the get-go, it wasn't serviced. And I just hadn't seen it because I hadn't found myself enough yet to know that that was my thing.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to anyone in a similar situation? Because, people are going to hear this. Yeah. Right? What would you say to anyone that's in the first leg of, say, the 13 years, the middle leg, the last leg?
First leg, be educated. Work at being emotionally aware. Emotional intelligence is so underrated in this day and age.
Because people are stupid.
Correct. There's two brains. You have your rational brain, you have your emotional brain. In the first stages, I wish I worked with my rational brain and found a way to connect the emotional with the rational. It's like when we talk about serious issues, we talk about climate change. If we talk about political issues, not that I like to, but if we do, people will go based on what they feel rather than what's the right thing to do, because the right thing to do is usually too fucking hard. So if I looked back on that first part of my experience, I would have used my rational thinking and looked at things more logically and tried to take away elements of that emotion to be able to make the right decision around what I was experiencing and what I was seeing.
What about mid-year? Just married, pregnant?
Make sure you don't lose your voice. That's probably the point where I did. And you don't necessarily need to yell, carry on to be able to achieve that. You can find different ways to communicate. My ex says, part of the relationship breakdown was to do with communication. So if I had actively worked at building that different kind of communication, not what I thought was right, but actually actively seeking support around what that looks like, because that wasn't modelled necessarily to us by our parents, equal sides, then we probably would have had potentially a different experience.
You said the straw that broke the camel's back was the incident, right, with the water?
Yep.
And you lasted another year and a bit just trying to figure out what you were going to do. Can you think of a point that broke the camel's back before that you just sort of looked past?
Yeah, 100%. That would have been when I was forever falling on deaf ears with important, aspects of our lives, whether it was the financial stuff or, decisions around where we're going to live and who we're going to live with and who's going to be a part of our, circle and all that sort of stuff. I would have probably seen, I probably would have recognised that earlier if I had that, that support, and if I had actually worked at actively, seeking that.
Would you have left at that point?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
Yep.
If you'd recognised it earlier?
Yep.
And had a bit more strength and a bit more...
Yeah, I have completely lost my voice by that time and I hadn't even seen it.
So you would have left earlier than later?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you have kids at that point?
No.
Do you reckon after you'd had kids, would you still have left if you had a voice and still been able to make that rational decision?
Yes. Yes.
If that water... How old were your kids when the water incident happened?
3.5.
3.5. What if the water incident happened at 5 months?
I think it would have still taken me as long to go, but I still think I eventually would have anyway.
You would have given another year or whatever?
Yeah, like I did.
But you still would have had no doubt about getting up.
If I'd had just that smidge more of insight, with the right knowledge, with recognising that we could have built tools to communicate better, I still don't think they would have. And I still think deep down there was so many layers of bullshit that had come across that whole, 10 years prior that I think we could have tried our best, but I still don't think it was meant to be. And deep down now in my heart, I know. You
knew that. I mean...
Yeah.
Reflecting is... Yeah, okay. Hindsight's 20/20. Like, you could reflect and say, I knew that in 2010. That's not the point. The point is that it's not 2010. It's 2023. What about the people that are in their circumstances, right? Because I hear this a lot from women I know. And it's not even just women. It's people. I know men in similar situations. And it's always like, I'm just going to wait to this. I'm just going to wait to that. I'm just going to wait till this is sorted. I'm just going to wait to that. What do you say to that?
Don't wait. Partially because you've got a lot of work to do at the other end, that if you don't start working on it sooner, a lot of other things in your life that could have been don't end up happening. And sometimes that's a case of it's not the right timing or, whatever, but there's never a wrong time to start working on yourself and loving yourself and forgiving yourself for your role that you played in it. But the self-respect that you deserve to truly have, it starts with self, and then everything will emulate after. If I had recognised that I could have earned an extra year from where I am now, and I'm in a fucking great headspace now, I feel like a different person. I feel like the people that have re-entered my life, only very few who have made me recognise the best parts of myself that were existing, that are still underlying and still deep down inside me, that now I'm bringing back out to play again, and I'm loving it. Like I'm shining again. I didn't ever think that I could see myself, look at myself in the mirror and go, fuck, you're you, and you're doing all of this stuff, and you're kicking goals, and you're looking at, perspectives and things different ways than you did ever before. If I'd had that extra time, well, I'd be further on in my journey than where I am now. And I'm not necessarily talking about relationships with other people, intimate relationships, sex, all that sort of stuff. Just time to sit within yourself and enjoy yourself. Nothing wrong with that.
I've said this a lot to people I know. Like, why? What are you waiting for? Just fucking take the jump and just get on with it, because then you can both move on and be better people, or at least you figure it out. And just do what's right for yourselves. There's no point waiting for shit. Nothing's ever going to be perfect.
No.
It's amazing how people get involved in shit in the most imperfect scenarios, get married in imperfect scenarios, get pregnant in imperfect scenarios, but leaving a shitty situation, have to wait for the perfect scenario.
Yes.
It's like, are you fucking kidding?
Yes.
I think that's my biggest thing, especially me. Like I moved out of the hood at the start of COVID with like no money. Like, nah, fuck this. Like I'm out. Like now or never, because I'd noticed myself had been in this negative spiral, and again, going above and beyond to help other people beyond to my own detriment. And I was like, after like, you know, significant changes, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I need to start focusing this energy inward.
Correct. Because what you work on inward will then portray outward anyway. And the people who want to join you on that journey will come with you.
What do you want to get out of today?
That's a good question. I've been thinking deeply about that one. I wanted people to know what the triggers were. Didn't necessarily care about my story being heard, you know, in the sense that I have to tell my story. It's like writing a book and everyone has to read it.
What are the statistics? One in 6?
Yeah. Yep. I wanted people to recognise that, you know, both men and women equally suffer from, you know, domestic violence and abusive relationships, because it's... Even the other day I was talking to people about what I was doing at work on my weekend, and there's 2 men sitting in front of me. One late 50s, about my parents' age, one my age. And I'm like, I do this podcast, old friend of mine, about domestic violence. Oh. Yeah, he just was met with this, you know, awkwardness. I'm like, you guys know my situation. You know what I've been through. Yes, you know I'm in a great headspace. But why does it have to get met with that kind of awkwardness? You know the full gamut of it pretty much. Like, I haven't hidden my story from you, and you have seen the versions of myself that have changed from when I started here to the middle and to where I'm at now.
It's amazing when you ask people to start unraveling shit, and it's like, oh yeah, my sister-in-law was in the thing. Like, no shit, dickhead. Like, everyone knows someone.
Yep. And it kills me that in this day and age, when we start talking about any situation that has to deal with grief or loss, that it's too fucking hard basket.
Yeah.
I cannot stand that. I look at that and challenge it and go, no, tell me about what you're going through. Tell me about where you're at and what you're doing about it.
Grief and loss doesn't exist in 2023 because we're all hitting the dopamine hits from social media and all the other shit. We just gloss over that. It doesn't exist. We're all going to live forever. We're all going to be influencers, and we're all going to earn a lot of money without doing shit.
So I'm not here to be another influencer. Fuck that. I'm not interested in that. But I am at that level or stage in my life now where I'm like, I'm consuming all of this content, and this content is great. You know what the algorithms are like on our phones? They feed off whatever we're writing in our text messages and whatever conversations we're having on our phone. And I'm at that stage in my life where I'm like, I'm tired of just consuming. How about we change it so that whatever we're consuming, whatever it means to us, we can then go create and then impart something bigger. And I know that's going to be part of the reconsumption because it's regurgitated in a different way. But if it's contributed to something that's meaningful and as serious as this topic, why doesn't it deserve the space that we are giving it now in any conversation, in any light, on any given day of the fucking week?
No, agreed. Hey, Phil, you good?
I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay, I'll be honest, I can't get the Richie April face out of my head.
Is it here right now? Is it back?
just his eyes and that fucking stare. I don't know why I never thought to associate that with you earlier than this. Thanks for coming down, man. I appreciate it. I know I was really vague, not vague, but just sort of short in our sort of communications till now. I think mostly because I wanted you to get your shit out so I could understand. Like, this could have easily been another 3 or 4 hour coffee somewhere, but given the circumstances, I think it's something that a lot of people need to hear as well. And I know that you're articulate enough and honest enough to just get it out, like, you know, what's and all sort of thing. You okay? Generally, like when you wake up in the morning, like, how does it feel?
Peaceful.
Yeah, that's a good feeling, isn't it?
Because I get to control the narrative on the most part on any given day of the week now. I get to decide what deserves air and what requires boundary. And I can just decipher the difference now because I have that experience. I have that, you know, that lesson, you know, from...
And you're not talking about something that came up like overnight. You're talking about 13 years. Like, that's a long time, you know? That's a fucking long time to not be able to breathe.
And also not recognising that you're not breathing properly, you know, and then being able to go... Oh, my God. I'm good.
Hold up.